Hi, I'm Gian, but for short and sweet, they call me G. Hence, Keeping It G with G, the podcast. This is a weekly heart-to-heart based off of authentic life experiences and honesty, in hopes to inspire others to be more transparent about the ups and downs of everyday life shit. And to give you, the listeners, that extra push you may need to begin your own journey of self-help and healing. And please, keep in mind that I'm not an expert. I'm just speaking from experience. Now let's start the show. Happy Monday, y'all. Thank you for tuning in and being on this journey with me, first and foremost. I hope that you guys have enjoyed the new intro for the podcast. I just wanted to make it more informative if you're a new listener or if you have been listening, just to give you some insight as to why we're on this podcast to begin with. So with that being said, I want to get right into this week's topic. It's called self-loving. This topic dawned on me out the blue, but nonetheless right on time. I felt like someone needed to hear this shit. Maybe me too. But in all seriousness, I want to define my definition of self-love. And I know, that's all we hear these days. Love yourself, self-love this, that, and the third. But my question to you, the listeners, and please keep this pinned in the back of your head because this will be homework later on in the show. I'm going to try to start giving you guys homework and like little exercises to do at the end of each episode. So just keep that in mind. But anyway, do you truly love yourself? And what are you doing to make sure you're showing up for yourself in that way? And no, I don't mean buying yourself things, which can be a temporary fix, yes, or taking trips or going out, etc. No, do you truly love yourself? And are you caring for yourself in this manner? Because to me personally, not saying you have to agree, but loving myself to me means being accountable, surrounding myself with people who genuinely love and care for me, doing better, actively doing the work to be better, teaching people how to treat me. And that part of self-love can come off a little narcissistic. So let me be clear. I do not mean in that way. I don't mean it in that way of being selfish or being narcissistic. What I mean by that is making people aware of your worth, what you will not accept and what you will accept. I don't care if it's a job. Of course, with the job and the career part, it has to be a space where you feel comfortable being vocal about these things respectfully, of course. With family, friendships, relationships, let it be known. Sometimes you have to teach people how to treat you in a respectful manner. It can't be like in an aggressive way, because people aren't going to take well to that. So you have to keep that in mind. Self-love is all about a never-ending journey to be better than you were the day before. Learning from your mistakes and your failures and using them as a lesson. And lastly, being accountable for your own shit and wanting to figure out ways to be better. And this is a big one because I don't feel like enough people are accountable. I feel like it's a lot of people out there who are putting the responsibility and the blame on other people as to why they're not growing, or as to why, they're putting the responsibility on people to make them happy, to love them. But all of that stuff starts within. When you can actively and healthily love yourself, then everything around you will be beautiful. The way that you love people, the way that you talk to people, the way that you treat people. And you can tell easily between the people who love themselves and the people who don't, just by how they treat themselves. So I would keep that in mind too, and stay observant and just aware of that type of shit when you're around people. Pay attention to the way that they treat themselves, how they talk to themselves, and just the things that they're surrounded by. If you're not hip to some of the women out there who are on this self-love and this self-worth journey, I am going to introduce you to two ladies who have helped me when I was in some of the most trying times of my life. Some of you might be already following Alex L and Yasmin Cheyenne, and hell, even his Instagram is like RH_sin. Their words, the books, the posts that they share has been very monumental for me personally as it pertains to my growth. So please follow them. And this is not an ad or a plug. I genuinely mean this from the bottom of my heart. I just want to share with you guys some of the things and the people that are on my timeline, because I've had to go back a couple of times and regroup and unfollow people who are just posting bullshit, and just unfollow people who are not feeding my spirit or feeding my soul, or even down to muting them, just because I wanted my timeline to look different. I didn't want it to be full of just dead weight. So those are just a few people that I follow, and I would encourage you guys to do the same if you're on this, journey of self-discovery and self-love and healing and self-care like I am. But yeah, make sure you're loving yourself. Make sure you're loving on yourself, doing whatever it is that makes you feel like your most authentic self. And do not let anyone take that away from you. Fall into it, own it, and drown yourself in it. And I'm not meaning this in a narcissistic or selfish way. To love yourself and to care for yourself is not a selfish act. It's not. This is a means of self-care, to be able to deliver in the way that you need to, and to pour into others the way you need to. Your cup must be full. You have to take care of yourself in mind, body, and spirit. This is not a selfish act. This is necessary. This isn't a message just for women. This is for men too. We all have to be out here loving ourselves healthily and setting an example of how we want people to treat us by how we treat ourselves. Again, do not take self-love for granted. This is not a selfish act. This is necessary. So yeah, I also want to give you guys a heads up. I know in the beginning when I started the podcast, I was saying that you guys could email me or DM me questions, or if you needed advice, you could hit me up. So I'm going to start opening that back up again. I had stopped for a while because I wanted to just regroup and revamp and, do some more work on the podcast and blah, blah, blah. So now that I'm ready again, I am now accepting all questions for advice, and regarding all topics, feedback, and again, the topics that you feel like I should be discussing. So please submit those questions and advice to askgxxh@gmail.com. It's askgxxh@gmail.com. And you can also DM me on the Instagram for the podcast. All this information will be in the show notes. So please be sure to refer to that for if you're interested. And then, like I mentioned early in the episode, this is your homework for me. This is going to be your homework, and I want you to really try to attack it and not just listen to it. The exercises that I am giving you is not just for shits and giggles. When I give you these tasks and these exercises, I'm doing it as well because I want to be on the journey with you too. So the homework for this week's episode is to ask yourself, do I truly love myself, and how am I actively showing up in certain areas of my life by loving myself authentically? And that's your homework. And I'm going to be checking through the week to see if you guys are following up, because I want you to be accountable, and I want you to ask yourself that question, because I don't think enough of us are out here loving on ourselves the way that we should be. And so we're wondering why we keep running into obstacles and having these issues in relationships, friendships, and jobs, is because it starts with you, and however you treat yourself is a mirror to all things around you. I want to remind you guys that next week will be the hiatus week for the podcast, where I take that 1 week a month off from the podcast to regroup, to brainstorm, to do more homework, and to just take some time to myself so that I can deliver to you guys in the way that I need to. I don't want to oversaturate it. I don't want to just be talking just to be talking. If you're new to the podcast, this is my way of explaining to you as to why I take that week off, just to regroup. I don't want to oversaturate it. I don't want to just be putting episodes out just to say I'm putting an episode out. I want it to be quality episodes and topics. So that is why that I take that week off a month from the podcast to do that. Make sure you guys follow the IG and the Twitter for the podcast. Refer to the show notes for that info, and also subscribe, leave ratings and reviews. I appreciate the love and the support. Please try your best to have a good week. Try your best to be a blessing and not a burden. And please remember to be out here loving on yourself, because if you can't love yourself inside and out, how the hell you gonna be out here trying to love somebody else? It's just not possible. And I'm going to leave you guys with that. Please make sure that you attack the homework this week, because I will be checking in to make sure you're doing so. So yeah, I will talk to you guys on August 26th again, because the podcast won't be coming out next Monday for my hiatus week. So again, y'all have a great week, and I'll talk to you guys then.